what Greazy Meal were doing back in the late 90s was offering inspirational soul music, crossing musical boundaries, racial lines, and generational gaps. That's something that Bowie's all about.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. It was one of the things, frankly, that I learned more about through this process is just how integral that was to his whole process. So I think right about the time he started working with Luther Vandross, you'd think that'd be the most, I don't know, odd pairing. And especially if you see some of the footage from that, I think there was a documentary or something, if you see some of that, you can just see what a struggle it was, right? But here's what I saw when I watched that footage. I watched a completely egoless artist. How you manage that, I think, it's got to be impossible if you're a genius. Yeah. How you freaking manage that? I mean, how it would be impossible if you are a reasonably talented artist, right? How you'd manage to do that as a genius must have made his freaking head explode, right? But
and not just a genius, but a great performer.
Exactly.
And you need, does one need ego to be a great performer? It's an interesting question.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't. I think it's about ideas. He's hearing a completely different approach to music, and those people are thinking about music through their lens and watching him try to distill it down into, what he did was incredible. Watching him in that very specific, like emotionally heightened situation was fascinating.
Working with Luther Vandross, Carlos Alomar as well at that time on the Young Americans record.
That's right.
Yeah.
So I think that's when I realized, wow, he was really serious. And now, granted, I mean, if you've read any interviews from Bowie or anything, he wanted to be he wanted to write plays, and
he was trained as a mime artist too. In terms of
that's
theater.
right. That's right. I think at one point he said he wanted to be Little Richard. I think he wanted to be a soul brother. I think he knew he was a soul brother. I should say more specifically.
Yeah.
And so for him, it was about the exploration of that and what it meant to him being a person with that complexion. And I think that kind of bravery it comes out in his art, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, it's irrefutable. So for me, those are things that are really humbling when you endeavor to do this sort of thing. I think it's really crucial to know it.
He was, I think, the second white solo performer to play on Soul Train. And that struck me as really interesting. Just when you were highlighting the theatrical component, you're no Thin White Duke. But then Bowie has kind of the opposite experience.
Yeah, and I really related with him there. Honestly, I did. I felt like I met him right there as we were crossing paths into different dimensions. And I don't mean to sound like I'm high right now, but
you don't sound like.
But honestly, you have to be transported if you really want to endeavor into that sort of thing.
Yes,
because he stayed there. Yeah. He wasn't in what one would consider a normal realm.
Yeah.
And for me, I think I really can appreciate that, especially that Luther Vandross moment, right? I think humility is a really important part to art.
The crossing racial boundaries things that was highlighted as crucial by the Star Tribune for Greazy Meal.
Without a doubt, by the way.
Absolutely, yeah. Remains so crucial for Bowie throughout. So, for example, he took MTV to task in the 80s for not featuring enough black musicians. And the biggest influence for Black Star was Kendrick Lamar. So
that's fantastic.
Yeah,
honestly, but yes, I did hear that. But when I heard it, I had to stop a second and go, "Yep, that explains a lot of things."
Yeah, and then finally, so when Bowie died, I had the privilege of reaching out to lots of local musicians who had been influenced by him, and I collected a bunch of quotations for City Pages.
I saw some of that, yes.
And
it's fantastic, by the way.
Oh, thank you very much. And John Hunt was highlighting that, in his opinion, the next Bowie would be black. But John was wondering whether the Bowie-loving audience would acknowledge the arrival of this new Bowie.
You're getting into areas that become tricky just on the surface alone. It's tough to get into people's mindsets. A collective mindset can be a tricky thing to kind of explore. I would venture to say there is precedent to think that it probably would be trickier for some people because as a brother who's played rock and roll, let's just play this game.
Yeah.
It can be difficult for people to kind of understand that rock and roll actually originated with black people.
Oh, of course it did.
It can be hard for people to understand. So the idea
understand.
that there's a dude who looks like me actually doing it, like when Black Julius really didn't have a lot of issues because at the time Michael was playing with Prince, and people were dying to see us play, and there were lots of like really crazy outfits and pyro, and it was quite a spectacle. But there being in a black funk, predominantly black. There were 3 of us that were black and 1 white dude, Matt Purdell, who was brilliant on guitar. Yeah. You get into stories and about what it's like to be black in the rock and roll world and how tough it can be to be accepted. So, do I think it's possible that the next Bowie could be black or Latino? I am convinced that it's possible, and I think it's possible because of his bravery.
Yeah.
It will come down to what people are willing to accept, but it still wouldn't make that artist any less.
Yeah, the artist would
legitimate.
Be... Yes, exactly.
You know what I mean?
The artist would be the artist.
With David Bowie, race in art, it's always a very difficult thing. It can be a very tricky thing because sometimes it's about the lens you're looking through, and sometimes it's about whose ox is being gored.
Yeah.
So I think for me, I think you just kind of have to bring your personal experiences to it, and I think the people are brave enough to really appreciate a great artist anymore. I think those people exist still, and I would like to believe that can happen. Greazy Meal for me was, we were playing, we were running the gamut with our music, but I think by and large the music was catering to legitimately like African American crowd, middle-aged crowd, and yet when you look into the crowd, there was everything, and it was like, how does this happen? Well, it's art.
Yeah.
It's music in the end. So people, if they get that feeling, they're going to say to hell with any kind of notion that would make that. In fact, that notion might fuel that all the more.
Yes.
That feeling of bravery when you love an artist is powerful.
Yeah. So we're back in the mid-90s again with the evolution.
I can dig it, man. I got no sense of time. I don't even know what the hell day it is.
No, that's great. No, I'm glad to be back in the mid-90s. It was a good time, and I didn't get to experience it here the first time around. So.
I heard I had a great time.
So you have a song called "Stay," as does Bowie.
Yes.
So I thought it might be fun to kind of use the Greazy Meal "Stay" as a window.
Okay.
Is "Stay"? I can't remember whether you covered "Stay," the Bowie "Stay"
We did not.
last year.
We did not.
We're recording this a while in advance, aren't we, of the show?
We are indeed.
Is the full? Have you determined all the songs you're going to play?
No, in fact, I'm going to start from scratch. I think there will be a lot of similar elements. Some songs just really sounded great together.
Yes.
And then there will be some further exploration about what we might want to do. I mean, we're doing a completely different house with a different vibe, and frankly, we just got a couple of really cool special guests. Ann Michaels, who is just this fabulous actress, who's an unbelievable singer.
Okay. And
I've just had the pleasure of working with her on a couple of things, and then also Aaron Schwab, they're both theater stalwarts, right? But they're just really special talents, really like three-dimensional talents. And Erin is quite possibly the funniest person in theater. She's gregarious, but she's got a killing voice. But they understand immediately, it's implied what they're getting into when they do a show like this, right?
Because of the performance component.
Exactly. Yeah. And so I'm really looking forward to it. The show will take a little bit of a different shape because these are different people with different tastes, and so we'll get an idea of what maybe they like. We'll do a couple of those same duets. We'll, of course, do Under Pressure, because I just love the Annie Lennox version, and Ann Michaels is just going to be perfect for that.
Yeah.
She's pure fire, and so I just think the show in general will have some interesting turns that it maybe didn't have originally.
And a lot of it will have to do with theatricality because of the venue itself, the Ordway.
Yes, I think we would be wise to use, Ordway's vast resources.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you've ever been over to the concert hall at
Ordway,
but it's spectacular, and some of this will be about optics because Bowie understood the gravity of being in the moment and feeling it.